Yes, please, Maria.
Okay, buenas tardes a todas, bienvenidas a Backpack Series. Yo soy Juanita, voy a interpretar simultáneamente todo lo que presentan hoy. Si desea escuchar esta presentación en español, por favor haga clic cuando aparezca el globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla y elija español o Spanish y después haga clic en Mute Original Audio para que no escuche la otra parte en inglés al mismo tiempo, que puede ser una distracción. Si tiene algún problema con audio, por favor pónganos un mensaje en el chat para que alguien lo ayude a comunicarse. Mil gracias. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Backpack Series. My name is Juanita. I'll be interpreting simultaneously from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English. So please make sure to select your language when the globe appears at the bottom of your screen. Please select your preferred language and then click on Mute Original Audio. If you have any audio issues, please make sure to put a note in the chat so we can try to figure out how to help you. Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa. If you can sign me now.
Hello, everybody. I just gonna try one more time, see if we can go live on Facebook. Unfortunately, it's not letting me in. So we're not going live on Facebook, but we're recording. So if you...
You're muted. Oh, there you go.
if you wanna ask any questions, please.
You're muted again.
Sorry. So we'll be, I don't know what's happening today. We will be posting on social media. So if anybody have any questions, please make sure to keep names and personal information privately. And I want everybody welcome again. So my name is Vanessa. I am a parent consultant with the CPAC, the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center. And for those who doesn't know who we are Parent Training Information Center for the state of Connecticut. And by law, every state must have a PTI, and we are the ones in Connecticut. And our mission is to empower families of children with disability and developmental delays of ages 0 to 26 years old, and the professionals who serve them. We provide telephone consultation, training, programs, and our goal is to the parents to become their children's best advocate, give them the tools that they need to support their children. Today's training, it's about morning routines and visual schedule. And we have our friend here, Bethanne. Welcome again, Bethanne. And you can introduce yourself. And if anybody has a question, you can put it in the chat or raise your hand. Welcome. And let's go.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I had to check my clock to see what time it was. This day has been flying by. Good afternoon. My name is Bethanne Vergean, and I work at the UConn Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. I am also part of the Connecticut Pyramid Leadership Team under the Office of Early Childhood. I've been part of the Pyramid team in Connecticut for probably 16 years. And so I've been doing a lot of these trainings for a long time. Today in our annual CPAC Backpack Series monthly training and presentation, today we're going to talk about morning routines and visual schedules. I'm excited to see everybody here today. Please, if you have questions, place them in the chat or you can unmute yourself. There'll be plenty of time at the end too to have conversations about what we've talked to, and also if you have questions of your own. So the Connecticut Pyramid Partnership is a model in Connecticut funded by the Office of Early Childhood to support social emotional development in infants and young children, and is also a positive behavioral intervention and support framework that we have multiple early childhood programs across the state that use it in their centers. But we also want to connect with families, and that's why we developed our CPAC Backpack Series, to talk to families about their child's social emotional development and all of the the areas of social emotional development that is so important for our 0 to 5-year-old children. I always feel that, to say this off the bat, is social emotional development is the most important area of development that we want to see in our children. But it starts with a lot of practice of routines and self-regulation. So there's a lot that we have to work with for young children to be able to have them develop these areas. So the areas of the pyramid model are building positive relationships, making sure children are able to develop and support nurturing environments, and then be able to individualize supports for kids that may be having persistent challenging behaviors, and how can we support them. But we feel that a lot of the areas of social emotional development, the tools and the strategies and the tips that we give can de-escalate some of those challenging behaviors. And one of those things is when children have solid routines. So ideas of those solid routines are morning routines. What is, as a parent, what are your expectations of the child? Transitioning from, say, breakfast to getting out the door in the morning, bedtime. So transitioning from dinner to bath to reading a book, and then going to bed. So my question for you, everyone, is, do you struggle with stressful mornings when you lay down and you cry and it's only 8 a.m.? I know in my house I do. Everything is, as parents, we know that everything is a minute-to-minute transition. So if we're trying to get out the door by 8:15 to go to work or bring our children to school or an early childhood program or childcare, any of those things, we're all trying to get out the door. And so repeating ourselves on multiple occasions, it's time to get ready. These are the things we need to do. You need to get your shoes on. We have to eat breakfast. Where did you put your coat? So all these things that we're trying to do and get out the door in the morning. And as a parent, also be able to, for ourselves, be able to get dressed, take a shower, have our own breakfast. I have several cups of coffee, and get everyone out the door. So I have found that when I put a routine together in the morning, it becomes a little bit more successful in getting out the door. So I'm going to share some of those strategies today. So getting your family up for the day is no easy task. So I've learned that if you establish a good morning routine, it helps with it. It helps with meltdowns. It helps with you being late. And also it helps the child's what your expectation of the child is. So you can create a morning routine that not only helps your day to begin smoothly, but also teaches your child important skills that needs to become more independent and confident. A morning routine can also reduce challenging behaviors such as crying, whining, and tantrums. So an example is I actually developed a visual schedule for our household because I saw the nightmare mornings that was happening in our house. And also, as I worked in the early childhood field and worked with center-based and family childcare, I learned that putting a visual schedule together helps children understand the steps that they need to take. And also young children are very successful when they know what's going to happen next. So this helps them. If your child is in an early childhood program or a family childcare, you may see that they have visual schedules in the classroom. And those children, as throughout the year of being in the program, they know every single transition of the day and where they're going to go. So if you've ever had a conversation and ask, well, tell me what your day is like, they will go through that schedule. They'll have morning circle, then they have art, and then they have centers. So they'll be able to tell you. So this is also helpful in your own house too. So here's an example. So use a visual schedule. I just took clip art or like pictures off of Google and I put it on a just printed it out on a piece of paper. But you have wake up. So whatever schedule works best for you, what you do is you can have wake up. Some kids, they are able to watch cartoons in the morning before they have breakfast. So while you're making breakfast, then breakfast, getting dressed, and then putting their shoes on and then getting out the door. So reviewing that schedule with them also helps. And then also too, doing it at night. So identifying when you need the schedule. So what is more chaotic than the mornings, then I feel are better than are at nighttime. So pick a time of day that's the best time. So list the steps that you want your child to make. So eat breakfast, brush your teeth, get dressed, put your shoes on. And then I also did a check chart. So for your older kids who are like, say 3, 4, and 5, they can check off like I did this, this, and this. And usually like at the end of the week, if we've had a great week and like everything that we had as our expectations, we get a sticker or we get a special dessert on the weekend. So there could be, you could put a reward system in that. So having those consistency, structure is everything for young kids, and it is so much easier when there's structure in place, and then it reduces those whining or crying or some sort of behavior that goes along with that.
I have a question, Bethanne.
Sure.
Someone put it in the chat if it's a maximum of steps that we should put on it. I think it depends on the age of the child. That's an
excellent question. I would limit it to like 5 or 6. Like you don't want something that's like 10 steps. I would limit it like 5. So you could, whatever wake up time. I know that my child would wake up at 5:30 in the morning. So at that time, I let him watch TV for a little bit. And then I reminded him, okay, it's 6:30 a.m. So what does that mean? It's time to eat breakfast and then go get dressed. So leave it to 5 simple things. That's an excellent question. So for some young children, moving from one activity to another is really challenging. But if we give them warnings, that really helps. So you have 5 minutes to do this. Even though children may not understand what that 5 minutes is, they still understand the warning that you've given them. So being able to move from, breakfast to getting dressed, say, okay, as soon as you're done drinking your milk, then it's time to get upstairs and get dressed. And then also too, when you're doing your schedule, I know with my child, he'll go in his room and get dressed and then also stare at himself in the mirror for 10 minutes. So giving it a time limit too of like, okay, you have 10 minutes to get dressed and brush your teeth. So again, giving it the time limit. Adults can also help children predict what is coming next when we have this transition, which is much smoother. So once they get their shoes on, you could say, okay, what do we do now? So once you have had that consistent schedule and the child knows what your expectation of them are, they'll be able to recite back to you, oh, it's time to get in the car. Okay, grab your bag, grab your backpack, let me get my stuff, and then we go out the door. It sounds easy to just print out paper and put the schedule and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. It takes a couple weeks for kids to get used to it. Sitting down with them and saying, I've noticed, Mommy, I've noticed that our mornings are crazy chaotic and we're all just banging into each other, trying to get out the door, eat our breakfast. And some days it seems like we're going to be late. Mommy's going to be late for work and I don't want that to happen. And I don't want you to be late for school or wherever they're going. So I've decided that what a better way for us to stop having chaos in the morning is we're going to put a schedule together for us. And then you can also print the pictures out of the areas. You could take a picture of them doing it. So you can have them initiate that schedule with you. So you can take a picture of them brushing their teeth, eating their breakfast. So they're helping you put that schedule together. So what do we do after we eat breakfast? And then we do the picture. So you can make it yourself or you can involve your child. And then every day, just make sure you prompt them, say, okay, what's next on our schedule? And then they go over and then they look. It becomes a bit of an activity. Also, if you're doing any electronics in the morning, say like TV or something, you can set a timer. And so then they know once that timer goes off, it's time to go to what we're supposed to do next, which is eat breakfast. And then also always provide a verbal warning when one activity or event is done, and then you're going into the other one. So for an example, to reduce meltdown times, we would always want to prompt kids and give them a warning that something's coming. Because if you just walk into the room and the child is in the middle of watching their favorite cartoon and you're like, all right, let's go eat breakfast, get your shoes on, or, you know, let's go here. It's like, I'm watching my show. And so if we say to them prior, 5 minutes prior, say, okay, in 5 minutes, we got to shut that off. You know, we can finish watching it later because we got to go eat breakfast. So making sure that you give good prompts and warnings of when the activity is going to change. Takes a little time, but it works. My screen is acting all weird. Also, transitions that may be difficult. You can give them a transitional object or a toy with them. So if getting in the car is really tough, bring one of their favorite toys that, or a favorite stuffed animal that can sit next to them in the car. That helps to soothe the anxiety that sometimes, like if the child is going to school and they know they're not going to see you for the rest of the day. So utilize a favorite toy or object. Always, this is like the serum of early childhood, is using first and then. So an example is, first you put your coat on and then we can go outside and play. First, we have to clean up your dishes, then you can go play with your Legos or blocks or dolls. We have to wash your hair first and then you can play in the bath. So always using that first and then language. If they want to go out inside and play, first you need to clean up your toys before you can do that. So utilizing that language is super important, and it helps with those transitions.
I have another question, Bethanne.
Oh, wow, this is great questions.
Yeah, I love this group today. They are very engaging.
Yeah.
So someone said, not exactly related, but do you have any suggestion on how to get the kids to sleep early? I have to wake up my daughter at 7:30 to make sure she has enough time to relax, get ready for school, and she starts the morning in a grump, annoying mood. We start her bedtime at 7:50, but sometimes she doesn't fall asleep until 9:30. So it's a question about how can we make those kids go to bed?
Yeah. So I definitely think an earlier bedtime. But what you can do is put a new schedule into play. I don't know how your home, like your nightly schedule works. But I've heard a lot of parents talk about this. You know, set a schedule at night. So say that you're eating dinner at 6:30, dinner's over at 6:30, and at 7, they can watch TV for a little bit, but then at 7:30 it's shower, and then 8 o'clock book time. You have to set that schedule, because now we have to rework their body into going to sleep earlier. You know, even if you turn the lights off and they're sitting there daydreaming for a half an hour, they're gonna fall asleep. So it's kind of changing that internal clock by setting like a really hard schedule of getting her to bed before 9:30, because obviously that's why she's having a tough time getting up in the morning. If I do a little bit about your schedule at night, that might help me give you a little bit more advice.
You said that the child goes to bed at 7:50, but doesn't fall asleep until 9:30. That's the issue.
Wow. Is there something that's like distracting her? That's why she's not falling asleep till 9:30?
You can mute yourself. Let me see who asked the question. Kristen, if you want to unmute it. or put it on a child, whatever is easy
Yeah,
for
and the
you.
other thing is to start getting her up at 7.
She's on. Go
Okay,
ahead,
sorry, I'm
Kristen.
unmuting myself.
Okay.
Okay, yes, so she basically we do 2 books, and then she has her dad come in, and she wants to have some stories, like stories of things that have happened in his life.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
then she wants to back scratch, and then when he leaves at about 8:20, it's just a constant, I'm thinking of a bad thought, or I just had a bad dream, but meanwhile she didn't even fall asleep, so there wasn't a
Right.
bad dream, you know? So it's a
Um,
lot of that.
Yeah. So I have gone through the same experience. And you're constantly going back and forth in there.
Right.
So it's like maybe doing a little reassurance before she goes to bed. And then also too, maybe if you switch off with your husband, like if he does the back scratch and says goodnight, but like one night you do the book and the back scratch, the next night he does it. So there's not so
Okay.
much too many hands in the pot. And that's what's also too like, oh, I'm just gonna play them. And so,
Right,
oh, and now I have
definitely
dad
that.
coming in. Oh, mom's gonna come back.
Right.
Then you kind of like put your foot down of, okay, we're gonna go to sleep now. Mommy and daddy are going to sleep now. I've been through the same situation. Dream, like, yeah, hasn't even fallen asleep, but like there's somebody in the room, or I think it's
Right.
avoidance.
Yes.
Till you kind of change that schedule around a little bit. I would also start waking her up at 7.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I
Yeah.
wanted to hear your
You know
advice.
what?
Okay.
Wake her up at 7. So then,
Okay.
and then also too, she might be a little tired, more tired at night if you're getting her up earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
when would you suggest starting a bedtime for a 6-year-old? 7:30?
A 6-year-old, I would say, yeah, 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that you're doing like a couple of books and then you're doing the back scratch and then lights out.
Okay. Okay.
And also, but switch off with your husband. So one night he does it, he does the books with her in the back scratch, and then one night you do it. So
Okay.
like you're not dragging out that time, because she's
Right.
expecting him to come in and that just prolongs bedtime. And then she's asking stories. Oh yeah, they're like little manipulators to stay up late.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. And I'll put my email in the chat. Let me know how it goes and if you need any more tips or strategies.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Been there. So I kind of talked a little bit already about doing the visual schedule and then the first and then, and how important it is, and being able to use that schedule as cue cards as they're developing those skills. And once routines happen, it's like clockwork. The kids they know, and their bodies respond to it. Yes, weekends are different. Like I remember when I used to travel to go see my in-laws, and they're like, oh no, like let him stay up. Nope, we're staying on our schedule. I'm like, I have to go home with this child, so I'm gonna stay on this schedule and how we do things. They used to think I was a Nazi, but for my own well-being as a parent and just taking my breathing time too. When your child goes to bed, you're just like, okay, I have like an hour and then I'm going to go to bed, or, just like having your own mental break too is important. So keeping your child on the schedule and also giving yourself a break.
Just a suggestion, I think, because I've been there too. So when the child, Kristen, they asked the question, got in a routine, you can, because she's a little older and they're getting older, what I did was, okay, you fall asleep and do everything Monday to Friday, maybe Saturday night, like always negotiating, I think sometimes gets them. So what worked for my family was like, okay, if you do what your schedule Monday to Friday, because that's a weekdays, on Saturday, you can have half an hour, because then Sunday, you don't have, it's not everybody rushing out the door. And that some kids really looking for. So that's worked for my household. As they get older, you can increase a little bit on a weekend, like give them like, wow, I feel so special on Saturday because I can maybe watch a movie together, or I can stay up late, even if it's like half an hour. For them, it's like, wow, it's huge time. So it just came in my head. I didn't want to forget about it.
Yeah, and I would do a Friday morning dance, like it's Friday, like let's dance, it's Friday. And they're like, oh, and tomorrow we get an extra, we get to stay up a little bit later and we have a movie night, or, you know, we're going to see so-and-so. Like, you prompt them to be excited what's going to happen next. And so like, that's something they're looking forward to it. So we did a TGI Friday dance every Friday morning. And so that kind of like helped them go like, oh, this is the reward I get because I did A, B, and C. I remember, oh my gosh, it's been quite a while. And as I listen and I see this slide that we have on right now, she was a principal of an elementary school. And she said to me in a training one time, she's like, sometimes it's like negotiating with a terrorist. She's like, sometimes kids, it is like you're negotiating with them. Like, okay, if you brush your teeth, or if you do this, this, and this, it's like we have, as parents, we've really have developed a skill of negotiating. Like, I'm pretty sure that I could go now and sell a car to anybody because of the skill that I've developed with my child. So it is like you're like multitasking in different ways to make things happen, which leads me into those transitions sometimes are so difficult. Like, you go to the park and it's like, okay, oh, it's 5 o'clock. We need to get home and make dinner. And there's like the meltdown that I don't want to leave. So a way too is to make those transitions fun. Like, ask me what we're having for dinner tonight. And it's like one of their favorite meals. I'm making spaghetti and meatballs. So let's go home and you can help me cook. Or last one to the car is a rotten egg, or we can skip to the car, you can ride on my shoulders, like finding like a fun transition. Because honestly, children have a meltdown and it's like a minute long and they've moved on. Like, they forgot that it even happened, and it's just is on to something else. So we try to transition to those more fun things. Well, some meltdowns might be a little bit longer. I've had them in the middle of the grocery store. Yeah. Other ideas is sing a familiar song. Kids love music and songs. Use technology. So, you can have apps on your phone that play music, or YouTube too has great transition songs. So you can just go into YouTube and do preschool transition songs, and it'll give you some ideas. So that's another great idea with the transitions. Transition jobs. So how can we have our children be little helpers? I have given my child socks. So he has to match all the socks. And so I'm not saying a 3-year-old can match all the socks, but a little bit older, you can have them do that. Garbage day, helping bringing the garbage cans up, if that's how your garbage day ends, is how it is, if they're putting them out on the side of the road. Having them put everyone's shoes away and where they belong. Be the checker who makes sure everyone has their backpack ready and to go to school. So if you have multiple children, have someone who's the checker boss, like all the backpacks are there and ready to go. So you're giving them initiative to go above and beyond. And so giving them some also confidence, like, okay, you're in charge to get everyone out the door at 7 o'clock. Oh, it's 6:58. Who else needs to get out the door? So tell everyone it's 6:58. We have to be out the door at 7. So empower them to be able to help with all of those transitions. And then also like giving them little jobs. There are such great tools on the NC. All you have to do is Google NC PMI. There's blank schedules and routines that you can print out. Also, a first and then. So example, like if your child does have a electronic device, first you need to help pick up all the Legos, then you can have screen time. So if you have a visual of that too, you can print them out and show the child. Hang it up on the refrigerator, hang it in their room, wherever it could see. So the NC PMI website is perfect. Just go to family resources and you can print out tons of stuff, and it also shows you how to make a schedule. And this is an example of a first and then. You can also go into a Word document and make it yourself. Also, here's another example of what you can print out. And it has all the visuals of things that we talked about. If they have to sit at the table, snack time, meal time, lie down, bedtime. So all these great pictures. But if you want to do them yourself, you can also just use Google Images. I do it. And then when you're creating a visual schedule, the child should be able to use the schedule to answer some of these questions. What am I supposed to be doing? How do I know if I'm making progress? How do I know when I'm done? And what will happen next? So what am I supposed to be doing? Brushing my teeth. If you're having your child sing this happy birthday while they're brushing their teeth, or you have a timer, or you have a toothbrush that has a timer. So you're making progress because as soon as the timer goes off, you know you're brushing your teeth. And then what happens next? So what will I do after I brush my teeth? Well, I'm going to get dressed and put my shoes on. So those are good questions to think about as you're putting the schedule together. Remember, following a visual schedule is a skill that children need to learn. You can teach your child how to do this by often referring to the schedule. And as we think about children getting older, our schedules is all about our lives. As an adult, we have a schedule. We have to be at work at 8 o'clock. We work from 8 to 5. We go home, pick up kids, cook dinner, possibly sometimes do laundry. So we all have schedules. When you go to elementary school, they have a schedule. We have gym on Monday. Tuesday, we have health, even in middle school and high school. So schedule follows us eternity. So that's why it's so important that when you start children out young and they understand the importance of following the schedule and following the tasks that they should do, it creates them for so much more success. It avoids conflict. And then as I mentioned probably a couple of times already, when children know what's going to happen next, it makes them more successful. So I definitely stress that one. So when children don't understand what's expected of them, the result is often a tantrum or crying. So like the example I gave earlier, which was you walk in a room and you're like, all right, turn the TV off, we have to go. Well, giving a warning or saying, well, after you watch that episode, we have to go to the grocery store, or we need to get in the bath. So just reminding them of what is expected next helps them because in their little minds, they're remembering that, oh, okay, I have to go do this next. And they're likely to be more successful when they're told specifically what they should do rather than what they shouldn't do. I love that picture. And most importantly, remember, behavior is a form of communication. So when children are exhibiting behaviors, they're telling you something, just like at us as adults. When we're frustrated about something, it's a form of a behavior. So it's a behavior. A behavior is frustration. So what are we frustrated about? It's a form of us communicating that something is making us mad. If I dropped my cup of coffee in the car, I'm going to be quite angry. Well, it's me saying to you, I really wanted that cup of coffee and now I don't have one. And now I have to clean my car. So remember that it's a way of your child trying to tell you something. Here's the website. As I said before, you can just Google the NCPMI for resources. Another tool that I really encourage you, there is a podcast and you can download it on Apple or Android, wherever you have podcasts. It's called the Little Kids Big Hearts podcast. It's made by kids. So it's kids talking. There's all tons of social, emotional topics that they talk about. feelings, conflict, like all these different things. So it's meant for young kids, 3 to 5. I highly encourage it. If you're driving in the car more than 20 minutes, pop it in, and it's great for the kids. And there's songs, and it's such a great podcast. And so I highly encourage you guys to use it. And they just won actually best award. They won an award for like best podcast for young kids. So a plug for that. So here's my email address. I'll put it in the chat as well. If there's ever a time that you have questions, or you need some tips or strategies, or you can't find something, please email me. I'm always happy to share resources or anything that I can, because this is my favorite time of month when we do these trainings.
Someone said that they listen to the podcast all the time. It's really good. But she also has a question.
Okay.
How can we work on the child comprehending these schedule steps for like around 3-year-old, I think?
So I think that you can, a couple of ways is have them help you make the schedule. So you can sit down with them and say, okay, what's the first thing we do in the morning? And your child will say, okay, well, what are we supposed to do after, say, we eat breakfast? And they're like, well, get dressed. And then, okay, so we're going to make a schedule. So we make sure that we get everything done in the morning and we get out the door. So have them help you make it. Use like taking the pictures of them doing it. Oh, your child is nonverbal. Then use pictures. And show them, and they can point to what so make the schedule, use pictures, and have them point to what they're supposed to do next. So if they're supposed to brush their teeth, they should point to brush their teeth. But if they point to like watching TV, you point their finger back to brush your teeth. So that way, use those visual cues to help them know what they're supposed to do next. Also, too, you can use on the website that I just shared, there's also feeling charts. So for a child that's nonverbal and they're not able to share why they're upset, and you can make smiley faces or mad faces or frustrated, and you could say to them, well, how are you feeling today? And they could point to that face that helps them express how they're feeling. Visual charts are great, and especially with a nonverbal child, that first and then chart too. So first you need to clean up your Legos, then you could do A, B, and C. So always picture visual cues really help them.
And I think too, for a child, nonverbal child, I think the consistency is they're not gonna get it at first.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be very
more than a week. Yeah. I've had people say, like, I tried it. I go, oh, how long did you try it? I tried it Monday and Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, we have to like.
I think it goes back, like if you have it in a refrigerator, that normally the kids, like running around, they can't express. So we just make sure, bring the child to that and make sure, it's to her level, eye contact. You're not going to put all the way in a freezer, or if your freezer's in the heights, they can't really see. So I think putting in their level and then point, okay, first, and repeat yourself, even though it's frustrating and tiring. I think repetition, like first, breakfast, then brush your teeth. Even if you choose 5 steps is too many, start with 2. Breakfast, brush your teeth. When you got that one done, then I think you add another one.
Yeah.
I think that it slow down, because sometimes kids that young and nonverbal can be a little bit too much. Like it's too much information, too many steps. So start with 2. If the problem is like breakfast and brush your teeth, put those 2 pictures. And you can add more as you go, I think, but repeat. I think they will get it. It's just until you got there, it's very hard work, but they will get it, I believe.
It is. It takes time. I've also been in classrooms where it's the beginning of the school year, and one of the first things that they do in preschool classrooms, and even the toddler classrooms, is when they start introducing a visual schedule and taking that time to start like kids understanding. That's why they review it every single day. Any other questions, thoughts? I'm going to put my email in the chat. And then also I'm going to put the link to the website that I was just talking about. Let's see here.
Any question in Spanish, Juanita? If you can chat me. If you wanted me to bring you back too. Okay.
So I'm going to put the link to the website in the chat. So if anyone wants to pull those resources that we talked about, go ahead and take a look. And then also to email me questions.
And if anybody
There
else,
is no magic wand. I always it's so important to know that all young children learning self-regulation, so learning when they're frustrated, learning when they're mad, all of these emotions that come on them is not easy. And so that's as parents and if they're in an early childhood program, that's what we help them do to build their social emotional development. And I will say, we can learn our ABCs, we can learn our numbers, but when we go to kindergarten and we can sit for 15 minutes in circle in class, and also be able to converse with our friends and our peers, like these are things that we need to be ready for, because once we are in our social emotional development, we know all of these areas that are under it, then we're able and capable to learn. Super important.
if anybody, I know a parent asked me for the PowerPoint. If anybody else that's still here need the PowerPoint, just raise your hand and I'll be glad to email it to you. No more questions? Oh, Kay. Okay, Kay.
No, I don't have any questions. I think this was excellent, but I would also like to have the PowerPoint if possible.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, I got your name, Maggie too.
She's got you.
Thank you
I
so
got
much.
you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had to throw some humor in on this hump day.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. And next month, I believe, we'll be back. I think if we are, it's gonna probably be on 8, right, Bethanne?
Yep.
But we'll be posting on our social medias.
Yep. Yes, come see us next month. And you know what? If there's topics that you're looking for, just send us an email, let us know, and we're happy to add them into our monthly chit chat. Oh, Amy Gold would like the PowerPoint too. Yes, Vanessa has it, so she can send it out to everybody who needs it.
I got everybody's names that want.
Good. And you have my email, questions, etc.
I'm gonna put it. Go ahead.
You have a question.
No, I don't have a question. I just want to appreciate you are doing this for us. And I'm happy to see alumni for the Parent Leadership Training Program, PLTI.
Oh, yes. It's a great program.
Yep. Thank you.
I also,
Trisha
ahead,
likes the PowerPoint as well.
who?
Trisha.
Oh, Trisha, yes.
Yep.
Where's my pen? I also put the CPAC email in a chat. If anybody has any questions or suggestions, feel free to send us an email too.
Yeah, and Maggie, do you still have your hand raised, or are you good?
Yeah, I got Maggie.
Okay. And I just want to say, honestly, I love doing this every month. I love connecting with parents. You know what? I'm a parent, And it is not the easiest job in the world. And so let's learn together and let's figure out how to get through some of those obstacles that we deal with, because we do know that social emotional development is so important, and how can we support as our child grows. So I hope everyone, it's a beautiful day out today. Get outside, take a walk,
Sorry.
take a breath.
So with that link, it tells you different tips for helping social emotional building.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you go all the way to the bottom of that webpage, it has teaching social emotional skills at home. So there's like 7 different categories. There's handouts. There's stuff about schedule routines and transitions, webinars, videos. Use it. It's fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna stop recording.